And welcome everyone again to another edition of ETBU Sports here on Tiger Vision, and we're talking with ETBU head football coach Mark Sartain, and going to discuss a little bit about the Tigers season here and some things that occurred during the season and things we have to look forward to in the future. Coach, first of all, congratulations again, finishing strong, winning 3 of the last 4, and you guys put up some pretty impressive numbers that might have got lost a little bit. I know in what was a little bit of a disappointing overall record, but again, it was a very promising year for you guys and your program with just some of the things you were able to accomplish.
Well, we'll take what we've given ourselves, so to speak. It was a little below our expectations, but I'm very proud of the guys once again this year for rallying at the end and winning 3 of those last 4, and we did accomplish some things this year. And one of the things that we emphasized in our last meeting were the positives from this year that we'll build on and move forward with. And of course, offensively, we had a great year, probably one of the best ever, the best since I've been here, most productive, and we're pleased with that. I think overall we finished 25th or so in the nation in total offense, which is very respectable. The problem with that is we're still 4th in our own conference, so it tells you a little bit about that. And we look at our overall record. It was certainly not what we'd hoped, but when you look at it in hindsight, 4 of our 5 losses came to teams that were ranked in the national top 20 at the time we played them. One of our wins was over a team that was preseason ranked and ranked through the first 3 weeks of the season. So, we've got to look at those things. I was a member of the Regional Advisory Committee this year, so I got to look at some strength of schedule coefficients and things of that nature. We had the 5th strongest strength of schedule in the Southern region, which is about 55 or so teams. Not trying to justify or rationalize, but just to put into perspective for our guys the level of competition that we face each year, and that we're very, very close to where we want to be. It doesn't seem that way record-wise, but when you put all that together, we're very, very close.
You look back also, I did some looking at some things, and I didn't look back much further than this year, but I do believe, at least since you've been here, we talk about the 5 and 5 and maybe just how much that is below your expectations, but you had the lead at some point in every game this year. Mm-hmm. And
that's good.
5 and 5 is very misleading when it comes to the fact that you recognize against that tough schedule, you guys were right there on the cusp of perhaps having a chance to win every ball game you played this year.
We're probably two or three big plays away from a 7 and 3 at least. I feel like we let one get away from us that absolutely should not have gotten away from us, but we feel like there's probably one of those games that we certainly were not the better team. We can acknowledge that now, and we'll build on the positives from this year and move forward.
You did mention one of the positives again was the increased offensive output, which just bears out in the numbers. I updated your records, of course, already here at the end of the season, and you guys set a handful of new team records. Most rushing yards per game in a season, most highest point scoring average, which was 32.4. That's the highest of any ETBU team ever. Just an increased overall, versatility on offense and balance, and you guys achieved that pretty well. The Tigers averaged on the ground just shy of 219 yards per game, and then through the air it was about 231 yards a game. That's a very good balance there between the run and the pass.
Right, this is our 3rd full year in the pistol, and it's had a little evolution each year. Of course, Sid Harris makes a big difference in that offense. We know that, we're aware of that, but have 2,000-yard rushers on the same team in the same season is a very impressive thing. And Coach Pappas sort of took the reins from Coach Bryant in his late departure last year as our offensive coordinator, and did a really, really good job, along with his offensive staff, of putting together a package and having still yet the continuity we need to have some carryover from previous successes.
You mentioned Sid Harris and the 2 1,000-yard rushers. Of course, that is a big story of the 2011 Tigers. Sid Harris, of course, 1,018 yards total on the season, his second straight year with over 1,000 yards rushing. And it ended prematurely with him being injured in the first half of the season finale last week. And then Jair Stover picked up the reins last week and finished off with his best overall game numbers-wise, 207 yards against Sul Ross. He finishes with 1,016 yards and missed Said by just 2 yards, and that's a pretty phenomenal feat right there to have two guys that close together. It's only actually been done. I did some checking this week, Coach. It's been done twice before in our conference with a team having two 1,000-yard rushers, both coming at Mary Hardin Baylor. Only once before has it been done throughout the regular season without playoff numbers added. So, again, those two guys putting together those big numbers, and I know you want to give credit to everybody, your offensive line and that kind of thing, but that was a pretty amazing feat.
Well, it is something to build on, something to be proud of. And, I think what you saw the last 3 quarters against Sul Ross will be a little bit more of what our offense will look like in the future. We'll go back to a little bit more of a tailback-driven offense in the running game, where in the last couple of years with Said, we've been predominantly a quarterback-driven running game. Our tailbacks catching a lot of passes. I think you'll see another added dimension next year with Seth Hubbard. He brings another type of skill set to the field, and we're excited about our talented young wide receivers. Our offensive line is still typically, really, when you look at it overall top to bottom, very young, and we've got some talent coming up that we're excited about. So, believe the offense will continue to evolve and prosper, and hopefully we can score 34 a game next year.
We mentioned again on Said Harrison, you can't talk about the 2011 Tigers without really stressing him a whole lot. He was a very important part of your ball club as the quarterback. He did set a record for a single season in terms of completion percentage at 56.4. Had his best passing year. I know you were proud of that, and he was probably proud of that as well. Over almost 1,600 yards passing. That was the second highest yardage total in the history of the program. And Said will also leave the program as the career leader in completion percentage, which, considering where he was when he first got here as a quarterback and where he came, that has to be a source of pride for him.
Oh, absolutely. He's made a lot of progress. He's come a long, long way as a quarterback. And, that's something that people never really recognized about Said, because he, it was always his first option was his feet. But he's always been a very accurate passer, not just a chunker, He can throw the ball on target, and he's got a tremendous arm. He can throw every type of football that's needed. So he's got the complete package, and he's done a great job of moving himself, further along as an all-around quarterback.
And you did mention that the bad thing about that is, of course, Said Harrison and Jair Stover are seniors. They'll be leaving the program. So you will have a lot of production there to make up. Again, it's nice to have a guy like Seth Hubbard to step into the wings there, and a couple of young guys I know you're excited about on the junior varsity, and Anthony Morgan and Connor Sharp. They will be having their top 2 targets from this year to throw to again. Both of those guys returning. Al Lewis and Kwame Spikes each with 42 catches apiece. Of course, do the math, and that's 84 catches. That'll be back in the fold, 9 touchdowns. So over 1,000 yards receiving. So those 2 guys are a pretty good pair to build your receiving core around.
Absolutely, and they're both incredible young men, very consistent, very steady, great leaders on our team. We'll improve. We'll continue to improve.
Defensively, I know Coach Randy Pippen came in and was working within basically the same scheme that you guys had used, instituting his own style into that, and there were some bright spots throughout the year. I know the overall numbers might be a little bit disappointing at times, but we did give up over 30 points per game, but there were some bright spots in the middle of that showed this defense has a chance to be really good in the future.
Well, we just got to become more consistent, and we had some injury issues on the defensive side. We had some other complications with our personnel on that side of the ball. It made it tougher. We didn't tackle very well this year. So we've got some things we've got to address in the off season, and continue to make that transition with schemes. It's difficult to do in Division III without being able to have any contact in the spring to transition anything to do with defense or to teach tackling. So it's it's a fall to fall sort of thing. But we know now what we need to work on and focus on. There's some personnel issues we need to address with the change in philosophy. We'll do that through recruiting, and our defense will be much improved. I would not hesitate to say we'll go from worst to first in that category.
Well, I know that's the goal. And just to mention a couple of guys on defense who had some pretty good years, Colin Bishke had a big game last week to close out the year and surged into the overall tackle lead on the year, the junior out of Baytown. Very quietly, he's putting together a pretty solid career here. He finished the year with a career high in tackles in 76 on the year, and just whenever something was happening on the field defensively, Bishke always seemed to kind of be around the football.
Colin is, without a doubt, clearly one of our top 2 or 3 best football players. Just a great football player. Very intelligent, very tough, dependable, consistent, plays hard, practices hard. One of the best players I've ever coached as just a football player.
He did earn all-conference mention on the all-conference team, which came out yesterday. The Tigers did have 8 players placed on that team, and you can go to etbu.edu and check out all of that and get the listing of all those players that were honored in the voting by the coaches. Coach, I know there's one player that probably enjoyed probably a little bit more than others, maybe the mention on the all-conference team, and that was Matt Tarver. He may not say that out loud, but he was the only player on the team. Of course, they earned first team all-conference mention this year, and got that, and again had a good solid year. 39 tackles, a team high 5.5 sacks, and also led the team with tackles behind the line of scrimmage at 11.5. Matt again being named the first team defensive end as well as the sportsmanship athlete of the year.
Well, he got snubbed last year. Matt was the conference leader in sacks last year, and did not get a single vote from an opposing coach for all conference. Horrible, horrendous oversight. This year they reconciled that and voted him as a first team player, which he deserves. And the one that he and I probably are both most proud of is the recognition as the sportsmanship athlete of the year. There were some incredible young men on that ballot, and for him to take that honor is just quite a compliment to him, his family, and it honors our program as well. Now, Matt's going to be one I'm going to miss sorely. He's an incredible young man that's going to be incredibly successful in whatever he chooses to do.
Well, again, Coach, it's almost sad to a point to say here that we're kind of putting the book on the 2011 season, but I know you guys are already down there as a coaching staff, already looking forward to next year and what it brings. I know you had a pretty good year on the JV with some young guys. Very impressed with your freshman class. So, what are some things now as we go into the off season you guys are going to be focusing on about getting better for next year?
Well, we're trying to replace our seniors with transfers at midterm. We've got anywhere from 12 to 20 right now ready or working on getting here in January. We're making the transition right now into our new strength training center. We've got all of our equipment transferred, existing equipment, still trying to raise the funds to complete that facility. But it's going to be an incredible opportunity for us to finally work out together at the same time. And it also opens up the existing weight facility to be converted into a study lab, which is going to be a much needed opportunity for our guys to improve academically, as well as give us a space now to meet as a team, which we haven't had that in program history, where we could set every one of our players down in the same room without going to the
all over campus,
the Ellis Worship Center, to do that. So we're excited about that transition and that improvement.
Well, Coach, again, want to congratulate you again on a successful season. I know it wasn't as successful as you would have hoped, but the Tigers are again moving forward. A lot of exciting things happening in Tiger football, and we'll be together again in just 9 short months. So, Coach,
here before you know it.
It sure will. Thank you once again, and thank you, fans, for your support, and we'll see you next year.
Absolutely.